Hi, and in today's episode, we are going to be kind of unpicking how to choose a job if you're highly sensitive. And I think that if you're highly sensitive, choosing a career can be a really kind of tough thing to get right. And lots of us have kind of spent lives living and doing things that are potentially not what we want to. Hi, and welcome to Awaken Your More. My name is Rachel, and I help sensitive people step into lives of peace, power, and purpose so they can start building a life that finally feels like theirs. So, today we're going to be unpicking how you can choose a job if you're highly sensitive or perhaps high achieving as well. And as a sensitive person, I've spent a lot of my life navigating various careers. And not because I was unable to hold down a career, but often because I wasn't actually doing a career that worked for my unique authenticity and my kind of best self. And I think we can so easily get funneled into doing the job that looks right on paper, that perhaps our parents want us to do, perhaps we were told by society that that is what we should do from doing a degree. And I can totally tell you this as an English literature graduate. um, I thought, I wanted to do corporate, I wanted to do PR, and, that was like the done thing. And that wasn't my path, that wasn't my calling. And it wasn't until I tapped into knowing myself, who I was, that I was able to kind of really figure out what I wanted to do. Choosing a job as a highly sensitive person kind of has a process, and I'm going to go through this process today. And I think one of the most important things is to really get to know who you are. And that's a really hard question because lots of us have spent our lives being like, well, I'm this, I'm a executive, or I'm a salesperson, or this is who I am. This isn't who we are. Our job title is not who we are. Our job title is a thing we do in this world. It's not us. Who we are is our unique authenticity in this world. It's if we have a sense of humor, if we are somebody who likes to move, it's if we are somebody who likes to be playful, maybe we're someone who likes to study and deepen our knowledge. You can do this by kind of looking at things that you do on a day-to-day level. So getting to know who you are when no one else is there. And can be quite confronting, being brutally honest with yourself. Getting to know who we are is about being kind of brutally honest with the things that have kind of been like icky and difficult for us within our lives. And kind of being like, well, actually, I don't really want to do that again. That job was really not for me. It made me feel like shit. So why would I do that again? And you know that your answers don't have to appease anybody else. They don't have to make sense to anybody else. They can be your answers. And the next step is just to get to know what drains you and sustains you as a highly sensitive person. So get to know the things that actually make you feel good, and then also the things that don't make you feel good. This could be, for example, that you feel really kind of good when you're not around people 24/7. So you probably wouldn't choose a job that means you're around people 24/7. But you feel good when you have autonomy and freedom and space and quiet within your job. And that makes you thrive. And you'll know that by the situations that you've been in the past and past jobs that you have also done. And number 3 in this process is get clear on job specifics. So do you want to work for yourself? Do you want to work in a team? Do you want to have a busy environment? Do you want to work part-time, full-time? Get really imaginative with the certain kind of criterias that you can envision your ideal job being in. And it doesn't have to make sense to anybody. It doesn't have to be what you think it needs to be. So a good way to do that is to tap into your intuition. And that's creating space for your inner voice, your true voice to come through, not the busyness of your mind. And I think when you've now done this, you can then whittle it down into specific criterias and go even further than that. So you can come up with a sort of non-negotiables list, the things that are actually you have to have, because there's no point applying for a job and being like, yeah, I've applied to like 10 different jobs and none of them have anything to do with any of the criteria, because you're just going to repeat that same cycle of hating the job and then quitting the job, or then doing the job and feeling miserable for years. And life is too short to do something you don't want to do. So don't waste it doing something that makes you feel small. I think it's important to also be completely honest that you are not going to have a job that ticks every single criteria box that you ever wanted, because that is probably virtually impossible. And if you do have that, then you are somebody who is very lucky. But most of the time, we will have to compromise in certain areas. And the idea is that we have like a few things on that absolutely we need this in our job, and a few things that we're like, this is all right, I can kind of tolerate it, it's not too bad. And we've kind of avoided all the hell no things that we want in a job. For me, for example, it would definitely be hell no to being in a really busy office environment where like everyone had that open plan desk and you could just hear and see everybody all the time. I've been in those environments before and I absolutely hate them. I do not know how people work in those massive offices. I feel like I get complete dread when I'm opening like a packet of crisps or something and there's like a rustling noise, or you're like coughing. You feel like everyone's looking at you. I mean, that's probably a me problem, but also I know that that's not the environment that makes me feel my best self. So I'm not going to do those jobs because they're not for me. And that might mean that I take a job, like I've taken jobs that maybe don't pay as well, or maybe don't look as good or shiny on paper. You've got to step out of that need to please other people, because at the end of the day, they're not in your shoes. You need to please yourself. It's important to take aligned and inspired action. So we talk about this a lot in manifestation, taking aligned action. And really that is like not sitting around and waiting for that dream job to land on you. You have to do the work and the digging and the putting yourself in situations to open that up for yourself. So that might be, for example, going to a like career, what are they called? Like in career intervention places. I don't think that's the right word, but or it might be also, for example, exploring like open days. That's probably the right thing. So exploring career open days. And it might also be, talking to people, networking. And I think that's a really good way to get a flavor of what's out there before you commit to it. And finally, just remember to trust your intuition. If something feels weird, off, don't do it. Just hang back, think on it. Because so often we're rushed into a decision because we feel like we need to hurry, we need to do this. And if you have that opportunity, I mean, not all of us always have the opportunity. So I want to just make that clear. If you've got a bad feeling about a job, kind of sit with it. I always remember the first job in teaching. As an NQT, I did this job and it was absolute hell. And the moment I had the interview, I knew something was off. I mean, they asked me to take my nose ring out and I was a bit disappointed at that. That was strike one. And then I was just like, just doesn't feel quite right. And then they were just the most unsupportive environment I had ever had as a newly qualified teacher. Anyone who's been a teacher knows that the NQT is probably the most grueling thing you can ever do. Wasn't a great experience, but had I listened to my intuition and not been fearful and just gone, okay, something will come up that feels right, rather than rushing for the first best thing, I could have completely avoided that situation. So it's good to do that and just know that you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And that kind of follows through nicely into the intuition. So if something feels right off in that interview, you don't need to necessarily take it. You can think about it, because you'll have a good understanding of what feels right and what people are doing with their body cues, what they're saying as a highly sensitive person. So this is a time when you can tap into that inherent skill that you have, which not everybody does have. I also kind of want to say that, not all highly sensitive people are going to want the same career type. Some highly sensitive people are going to like being around lots of people. Some people are going to like talking and being out there. And just because you're highly sensitive doesn't mean you're introverted. And I definitely enjoy speaking in public if I know what I'm talking about. And that is something I enjoy doing. But lots of highly sensitive people wouldn't want to do that. So it really isn't this box that you have to fit yourself into. You are unique and your highly sensitive traits are also different from others. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Please do leave a comment and subscribe to this YouTube channel for weekly videos. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste.